Next on News Talk, AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show with Kevin Doran.
Christian Kopff today. Dr. Kopff, thanks for joining us.
It's great to talk to you, Brian.
Jonathan Gruber, I won't play the video clips because everyone's heard the audio from these all over the place on every show and then on the news, too. Jonathan Gruber, the MIT professor who Politico says was called by one person close to Obama as the one who pretty much designed Obamacare. Jonathan Gruber caught on video saying all kinds of condescending things at a town hall meeting about the intelligence of the American people and deceiving them on Obamacare. Even Jon Stewart, who usually leans left, is in disbelief that Nancy Pelosi is playing like she doesn't even know who Gruber is. Your take on the whole Jonathan Gruber video scandal?
Well, there are two issues here. One is it's one thing to be caught saying something when you think the mic is off, and then you say something that maybe you say as a joke. But the fact is that these were taped scholarly conferences in which he was discussing Obamacare, of which he was one of the key economics architects. Now, of course, there are aspects to Obamacare that isn't economics that involve other issues. He wasn't part of that, but he was, from the point of view of the economics of Obamacare, he was one of the key people. He's a full professor in economics at MIT, one of America's most prestigious universities. And he was at scholarly conferences discussing this. And so he wasn't just caught, he acts as though he made a joke to a friend and he didn't know the mic was on. No, he was being taped as part of a regular scholarly conference. But let me make another point about this, because parents often get upset when they hear, what they consider professors brainwashing their students. And the thing is, we, and by we I actually don't include myself, but I mean my colleagues don't think they're brainwashing. They think what Gruber thinks. We're dealing with decent kids who are brought up by decent but complete ignoramuses. And you come to college, and this is your chance to finally learn something, because we college professors know. And we're not doing it like a seducer, like someone who's nastily and viciously trying to undo someone.
Gruber and that type, they think they're raising the level of intelligence of people?
Yes, exactly. The average... I mean, if you told, again... Obamacare, it's selling Obamacare is like the tooth fairy. You can't explain to kids about deciduous teeth and why the pain they're going through is going to end up being beneficial to them when the new teeth come in. So you tell them that there's a tooth fairy, and for the little pain they get, they're going to get, some money in there and under their blanket. Well, see, and you're not really lying to your kids. You're just trying to help children who can't understand the process of biology cope with the fact that they lose their teeth and it hurts. Well, this is his attitude toward Obamacare. Americans have not received economic education. They can't understand the economics of it. So you just tell them things, and it's going to be for their long-term advantage. It isn't nasty any more than a parent telling his kids about the tooth fairy is nasty. It's just trying to make something that'll be, in the short term, painful, but in the long term, good for you, less painful by making you think, by telling you a story. And that's his attitude. And when he's with his own people, then, of course, he says, of course we told them these false things because they couldn't understand the economics of it. And now he's been recorded saying it. And, of course, you're never supposed to call anyone stupid anymore. What he really means, of course, is that we're uneducated. That's what he really... That's what most of my colleagues think. They don't think Americans are stupid. They do think that they're uneducated. And fortunately, they send their children to us, and our job is to educate them. And educate them means giving them the right attitudes, the right views, and, by the way, among other things, telling them the truth about Obamacare.
What do you think of the president and Nancy Pelosi going overboard and distancing themselves from Jonathan Gruber?
I mean, the cowardice of that is so... In the case of Nancy, it's absolutely hilarious. I don't know who this person is. And then, of course, you have this picture of her saying, Obamacare is wonderful. Just read the study by Jonathan Gruber.
Right.
MIT. And the president, he wasn't on staff. Gee, I'd like to be not on staff if I got $400,000 for being not on staff. He was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that means he wasn't doing something trivial. He wasn't John, would you fetch me some coffee? Certainly, Mr. President. And then here, I'll give you $1 tip, because you're a nice guy. He was given $400,000. That means he was doing major work. He is the economic architect of Obamacare. And for the president to sit there and say, he just happened to be in the room. I don't think the American people are stupid. I think that when I told them if you want to keep your doctor, you can keep it, period, that they believed me.
Do you think that Obamacare had any effect on the November 4th elections?
I think it was one of the major issues. I think it was one of the major issues in two levels. Despite what Mr. Gruber says, and here's the thing where I do disagree with Dr. Gruber, he didn't fool most of the American people. The American people have always disliked Obamacare and distrusted it. And they were right to do so, because in fact, almost all the working people in America have budgets, work for a living, have to have enough money at the end of the month to pay the bills. Well, we do understand basic economics, and we understood that Obamacare as a national scheme doesn't mean that in a city or even in a state like Massachusetts it might not work, although now we know the secret of that also from these tapes. But we understood that it couldn't work on a national level, and we've been opposed to it. Also, the costs that have gone into this have slowed down the economy. And it's especially hurt the middle class who end up paying for these things. And so, yes, I think Obamacare was one of the major factors, along with a number of others. It wasn't the only factor, but it was a major factor.
And Governor Cuomo did say here in New York State that Obama was one of the problems nationwide for the Democrats. And Cuomo didn't name Obama, but you knew what he was talking about when Andrew Cuomo said Washington. And Cuomo, of course, referring to the fact that Democrats did not win the state Senate. And Governor Cuomo could have done better in his race than he did. We're talking with Dr. Christian Kopff, University of Colorado in Boulder. On Wednesday, Jay Johnson, the head of Homeland Security, announced there's going to be another wave of illegals coming into the United States. This, of course, followed news that President Obama is announcing his amnesty plans that'll be Friday in Las Vegas. Dr. Kopff.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is, he who says A must say B. Every time you talk of amnesty, more come in. Even if the president does not, when we're not to do the amnesty for 5 million illegals that he's planning to do, talking about it causes people to come in. Every time, for example, when the Senate passed this basically amnesty bill, which the House then refused to vote on, it caused the number of illegals to increase just talking about it, even though it only got through one house of our bicameral legislature and not both. So, I mean, he's absolutely correct. And, of course, we had this terrible thing this summer with all these kids coming up, many of them, of course, teenagers, not little kids at all. And that, again, was massive. And so, we're really seeing our system imploding in front of our eyes as we cannot protect our southern borders. And that includes people who not only are teenagers and people who are here to work for below the minimum wage, which many of them do, or without benefits, which also saves businesses a lot of money if people will work without benefits. But we also get terrorists in this group, too. We don't have no idea how many of them there are that are sneaking across.
In with the others. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people have addressed, Dr. Kopff. Pat Buchanan, I think, may have touched on that topic. Moving on to the Keystone Pipeline. The U.S. Senate voted against that on Tuesday night. Senator Landrieu down in Louisiana tried to be the hero on that one. It didn't work out for her.
Yes, I may have difficulty speaking because I'll be crying so hard as I describe the situation. She has sold herself as the brilliant force with a lot of clout in the Senate who stands up against Obama on energy issues and protects the people of Louisiana and the people of the country as a whole. And this, having not won outright, because in Louisiana you have to win a majority to get the seat, she is now trying to save her seat, and she basically asked her colleagues in the Senate to vote this thing in, even though they know the president will veto it, Because then she can say, I stood up for the people of this state, and my clout was respected by my colleagues. And her colleagues did not respect her, did not give her the votes they needed, and did not vote to save her seat, although there's a synonym of seat, which is also one syllable, which they didn't vote to save either. And she's in terrible shape now because she put everything on the line that she was going to save the Keystone Pipeline, stand up to Obama, and protect the people of Louisiana. And they can now see that she can do none of those things and has done none of them.
What are we looking at on this one? I guess this is one of those issues where environmentalists have a lot of concerns and they're blocking it?
Yes, that's exactly the issue. It's the environmentalists. The positive side is it increases our positive relationships with Canada, which is a friendly country, and there aren't that many of them left in the world, and it moves toward making us energy independent. That is independent of the Near East, independent of Venezuela, although that may cease to be a hostile country. But still, to be free of the Near East would be a tremendous thing from the point of view of energy. And we could make our decisions totally rationally. And energy independence has been a goal since the days of President Nixon. We're talking back in the 1970s. And the fracking and the Keystone Pipeline with Canada would go a long way toward making us energy independent. And so it's a national security issue as well as an issue of hundreds of thousands of jobs, not just in the states that it's in, but also in the neighboring states, because a rising tide lifts all boats, and people with jobs buy things, and then people in other states can sell them to them. So it's a very important issue, and let's face it, we're going to have to wait until January to get it.
Do you think the GOP will be able to get it then?
Well, 14 Democrats voted in favor of it this time, and all they'll need is 6 or 7 to go over the top. So they only need half to get it. And, of course, they're in either case, they would have Mary Landrieu's vote. When she's in, she'd vote for it. She voted for it. And when she's out, the Republican who will replace her will vote for it.
Right. We're talking with Dr. Christian Kopff, University of Colorado in Boulder, here on the Newsmaker Show. Brian O'Neill in for Kevin Doran today. More in just a moment. Brian O'Neill filling in for Kevin Doran on the Newsmaker Show with Dr. Christian Kopff, University of Colorado in Boulder. Dr. Kopff, story on the Drudge Report says that private companies are doing a lot of research on Facebook and Twitter to see what people are into. You know, it raises some questions, privacy invasion, snooping around. How much do we want all these companies to know about us? Your thoughts there?
Well, there are two issues. One is the issue that if you put this stuff on Facebook, you can hardly complain your privacy is violated.
That's true.
It's bad enough that the NSA is listening in on our phone calls. We don't want them to do that. But if you put it's amazing what kids put on their Facebook pages, right?
Absolutely.
Bosses look at it. Also, before that, colleges are now looking at these things. When they consider accepting people, they look at the Facebook page as one of the factors they take in. And if someone is irresponsible or silly or even pornographic, as some of these things are,
sure,
they don't accept them. So it affects you getting into college, and it affects you getting a job.
Yeah, and the person that feels the need to say every thought to the entire world, that could be dangerous long term.
Yes, exactly. I mean, college isn't dangerous, but it can be embarrassing if the student puts in, teacher ranted against Republicans today, or, teacher made a dirty joke today. Then, you're embarrassed. Even though it's not a big deal, it is a deal. It's another factor.
Yeah, and then there's always, as you said before, it works the other way. They put the shoe on the other foot, and the student doesn't even get into college because of dumb things they did on Facebook in high school.
Yeah, when they were a high school kid. Yeah, I mean, it seems very unfair because high school kids as a class tend to be, irresponsible and not having a vision of the future,
Every day is it goes as far as today, and you can't imagine paying for the consequences for any dumb things you do.
That's exactly right. It's like these girls sending pictures of themselves to their boyfriends, in in various states of undress. And you're going, gee, those pictures are not protected property. They're not. It's not a question of privacy. You're making it public.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do get in trouble for that kind of thing. Dr. Kopff, another interesting story online in the news this week. Germany tops the USA in being the world's most popular country. Why do you think that would be?
Well, it's partly, although we're still very popular. I mean, we're number 2. But it's just all the different factors about Germany are now starting to pay off. They're not invading people, but they are working hard, and their productivity continues to grow. So I understand from skimming it that actually success in sports was one of the factors. Yeah, I mean, who would ever have thought a few years ago that Germany would top the USA in popularity? That's something, again, if we were a certain kind of station, we'd blame it on Obama, of course, but I won't do that.
Thank you. Yeah, there's enough Obama bashing to go around.
Angela Merkel is more popular than Barack Obama. That's a sad day for this nation. But honestly, apparently sports is one of it, and part of it is peace and security. And, of course, Germany does not invade people anymore, so they're just shooting up through the ranks here. It's a great day for Germany, anyhow. And after all, we're still number 2. So look at the bright side.
I hear that the young people in British are very anti-empire on a similar note, that they don't like the concept of America getting involved in wars for that very reason, even though historically England was kind of doing the same thing.
Yes, and also we tend to work together. And this is something that has hurt the Labour Prime Minister Blair in his time, and Cameron has to be very careful about it now, is that they're not in favor of invading places, but secondly, they don't want to look like they're our lackey, that we tell them to jump and they jump. And they feel that getting involved in the Iraq business, etc., was a case of Britain needing to find its own way in the world. Also, on the other side, they're feeling that vis-a-vis the European Union, where the immigration and other problems, people. By the way, England is number 3, or Britain anyhow is number 3 on this popularity chart, and all those countries have immigration problems as people sneaking in and being there. So, it's a two-edged sword, being on our good side, and we like being on them being on our side. But then we have to have a more responsible, less aggressive foreign policy if we're going to keep our friends.
And one final question for you, Dr. Kopff. Here in New York State, the state Senate went to the Republicans in the November 4th elections. I guess that happened in Colorado, too, where you are.
Well, it's very interesting what the public is saying, because in both cases, the Democratic governor got reelected. Cuomo quite handily, and Hickenlooper here, by the skin of his teeth. But the same voters told them, we don't want single-party rule, and they took the Senate away from them in both states, and I think that's absolutely true. The voters want to, although it's always said we want people to work together, we want them to work together, but we want both sides to be represented. And it makes a big deal. Now, there are certain extreme things which the Democrats in Colorado have been doing, the Democrats less so in New York, which get stopped when the other party controls one of the two houses.
One thing that might happen here in New York State with the Republican control of the state Senate, there could be some modifications to the SAFE Act. Don't see them entirely repealing it, but some modifications. Also some modifications possibly to Common Core.
I think there are likely to be changes like that with us, too. Common Core isn't as much of an issue here, but the issue of gun control is a very serious one. And by the way, the Democrats had already had 2 senators recalled outside of the regular electoral process because of their gun laws, and also the sort of anti-fracking and anti-business attitudes of the Democrats in the state now have to be pulled way back. Our Governor Hickenlooper was desperately trying to back away from all that, and as it was, he lost the Senate, which means a lot of the bills he wants now are going to have to be the result of substantial negotiation.
We've been talking with Dr. Christian Kopff, University of Colorado in Boulder. Dr. Kopff, any final thoughts before we go?
Well, this last point reminds us, as irritated as we are with the two parties, we need at least 2 parties. It may be that we need a third party. You can argue that point. But we at least need two of them. One-party rule, even if you like what they generally stand for, leads to extremes and excesses that are a mistake. And two-party rules means that when it works, we have to negotiate and talk to one another.
Dr. Kopff, thank you very much for talking with us this morning.
It's great to talk to you guys. Stay warm.
And NBC is next on AM 1480 WLEA.